Hello, and once again, welcome to Spiritism, a closer look, evolution. This is our program number 24, and I'm Luis Lima here from Florida directly to you. Thanks so much for participating, and we're actually approaching the end of the series Evolution. So next weekend, or next week actually, September 22nd, we're going to wrap up the topic and we're going to move on to another topic, which, by the way, we're going to announce next week what it's going to be. So stay tuned, participate with us. Once again, we always start the program by touching the question from the week before that we published on our evolution.spirittrivia.com. And you're always welcome to come in and participate with us and cast your answer. So let's look at last week's question. And here is, the question was, what is the main objective of Spiritism? All right, we study Spiritism so much, so we are supposed to know this by heart. So let's go through the options here. A, teach how to balance intellectual and moral progress. No, that's not the main purpose, the main objective of Spiritism. It will give us the tools to understand why it is important to have that balance, but no, that's not the main objective. B, explain why Jesus was a special being. It does explain why Jesus is a special being, but that's not the main purpose. That's not the main objective of Spiritism. C, forbid people from making wrong choices. Okay, I think I spoke about this before in several of our past weeks here. Forbid is not a Spiritist word. Spiritism does not forbid anything. It does not prohibit anything, nothing in that sense whatsoever. It will, on the other hand, give us tools to analyze. So we are the ones making better choices. I can still make the wrong choices if I want to. The tools are available. The tools are to be learned, and we have to understand how to use those tools and use on our own favor and also towards being good to others. So Spiritism does not forbid anything. So this is not the main purpose, the main objective of Spiritism. So we come to the last one, right? D, moral improvement of humankind. And that's exactly, out of these four, that's exactly what the Spiritism, the main objective of Spiritism is, to create in each one of us the need for moral improvement so we can do better, feel great, and keep going on our path towards perfection. That's what Spiritism is here to teach us. And I wanted to read something here in this little book. It's a short book written by Allan Kardec in 1861. It's called Spiritism in its Simplest Expression. This is the bare, we could say in modern words, this is the bare minimum that we can write on Spiritism. Very simple book, straight words, very easy to read, black and white statements and answers for everything we need to know. It's actually a very interesting book for those who are trying to understand what it is, the first timers. Myself, at least, I assume you do too. Sometimes we get people coming to us and say, they usually come to lectures or hear something about Spiritism. They get interested and they will come to us and they will ask, where can I start? What should I read first? Because there's too many things, I'm a little lost. This is probably the best starting point. Okay, so in this book, there are several statements about Spiritism. Statement number 35 is, I'm going to read it to you from the book, okay? Spiritism's essential objective is humankind's moral evolution. That's the phrase. So that you know, this is not word for word direct from the French, but it's very, very pretty close, I would say. Okay, so this is right here by Allan Kardec, stated in this book, Spiritism in its simplest expression. Okay, that is the answer to this question here that we published last week. Actually, by the way, I encourage you to read the whole book. It's only maybe 35, 40 pages. This is a pocket book. You can see the size of it. It's a pocket book. Okay, so go for it. It's worth it. Even for us, even for us who do this for so many years, we still go back to that book because it's so straightforward, so, black and white answers and statements. Okay, so I wanted to start wrapping things up. Like I said, last week is going to be the last week on evolution, which is going to be like this major revision / wrap up. So tonight, I want to talk about something that we mentioned about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we want to develop the idea a little more, which is the idea that Allan Kardec, in order to explain to us what he had to explain through all the books and everything, he came to the superior spirits, those who were, dictating all the messages through the mediums. So he came to them and said, listen, for me to explain what I need to explain, for people to understand what I need to explain based on what you're teaching us, I think it's easier if we categorize the spirits according to their level of advancement. And then he asked the spirits, can I do this? Can I create categories? And the spirit says, well, you can create as many categories you want. You can give them the names that you want, as long as the teachings are preserved. And that's what, you see, Allan Kardec is he's a great teacher. A lot of the way he teaches, his method, these methods that he uses are fantastic. So he organizes the way he's going to pass the information along. And this is very typical of a person like that. So let's organize in categories and explain what they are. And this is going to be easier for people to understand. So he gets these green light, let's say, from the high order spirits, discarnate spirits, coordinating his work, that yes, you can go ahead and do that. So he categorizes the spirits in 3 orders. That's what you see here on the screen. 3rd order, imperfect spirits. 2nd order, there's a mistake in there. It's not imperfect. That's good spirits. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And the 1st order, pure spirits. So imperfect in the bottom of the scale, good in the middle, and pure on the top. And here we'll explain what the difference is. And here's what he says. 3rd order spirits, there's a predominance of matter over spirit. So anything that happens in the material life has a more weight than what happens in the spiritual life. It's like the material plane is in command, if you will. The spirit, the person, the incarnated person, will live a lot by, it will be driven a lot by what happens in the material plane. That's predominance of matter over spirit. Another thing is there's a tremendous inclination towards evil, unfortunately. Inclination towards evil. Everything is evil before we can think of doing anything better and good. 3rd order, imperfect spirits. Also, about God, the 3rd order spirits, they have an intuition about God, but they do not comprehend. They can't comprehend. It's too far out for them to understand God. So that kind of defines the 3rd order imperfect spirits. For the 2nd order, good spirits, again, sorry about the typo, the good spirits, predominance is not matter over spirit, it's the other way around. It's spirit over matter. They dominate. They are in control. The spirit is in control of what is happening in their lives when they incarnate here in the material world. Okay? There's also, instead of inclination towards evil, there's also a desire to do good. That's their first impression. Their first thing is, let's do good in every situation. It's always the first thing that comes to mind, if you will. And the first order spirits, those are the ones who know there's no need for these to incarnate anymore, because they have reached a degree of development. They're so advanced that there's no need for incarnation anymore. So they don't feel any influence from matter. There is no such a thing. They have absolutely intellectual and moral superiority compared to all the others. So this defines the orders of the spirits. Okay? All right, so then Allan Kardec goes back to the third order, and he breaks down in, let's say, 5 levels or 5 subcategories, if you will, from bottom to top. Impure. So impure are those spirits the least possible advanced, morally speaking. They, and what you see here, the definition of each one of them, that comes straight from the Spirit's book, where Allan Kardec addresses that in detail. Okay, so these impure spirits, they are inclined towards evil, and they make it the object of its preoccupation. So their whole lives runs around inclination to do evil. That's all they do, evil. Okay, so they are at the bottom of the Spiritist hierarchy, if you will, the bottom of the scale. Next one up is the frivolous. And by Allan Kardec's definitions and words, they are ignorant, mischievous, thoughtless, and mocking, and they have no concern for the truth. They will just keep saying things, no matter if they're truth or not, if they're true or not, no matter what the implications of telling lies and you know, things like that. They don't care. They simply keep going and living like that. So they are the second from the bottom. Third from the bottom, pseudo-learning. And Allan Kardec is going to tell us. They have quite broad knowledge. However, they think they know more than they actually do. So they think they are this, great pool of knowledge, if you will, and they are not. Okay, pseudo-learned. Fourth from the bottom, neutral. They are neither moral enough to do good, nor bad enough for wickedness. It's like they are this evolution is transitioning from the bottom of the scale to the top of the scale, right? So this is like a inflection point, neutral. They are starting to get away from the evil tendencies and inclinations and so forth. So they are halfway up the top, neutral. And surprisingly, but interestingly, Allan Kardec puts another subcategory under imperfect, which we call, or he calls, disturbing spirits. And he will, these spirits, they make their presence known through physical effects. They create noises and raps and things like that because they want to be, per se, recognized, or they want to be seen. Okay? One interesting thing about the third order spirits, straight from the Spirit's book, I'm just going to read it to you here. They also retain the memory and perception of the suffering of their corporeal life once they discarnate. And this impression is often more painful than was their reality itself. So that's heavy, right? Therefore, they indeed suffer from the wrongs they themselves endured and from those they caused others. So they suffer from what they did, not they have the perception something is being done to them, but that's the other way around. And since they suffer from them, for a very long time, they believe they will continue to suffer forever. And that gives them the impression that God is punishing them and they will be punished forever and ever. That's not true. That's their impression because of what they did. They're still very attached, as we saw, to the material life. So even after they discarnate, they are still very attached to what they did here. Okay? All right, so I'm going to do one quick thing here because, of course, we need to correct the word imperfect for the second order. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just get this thing right once and for all, right? Okay, so let me bring this back to you here. Okay. And we're gonna now continue. Oh, so we got past the inferior spirits or imperfect spirits. Okay, so now we are gonna go up to the second order, the good spirits. Again, predominance of spirit over matter. So at the bottom of the good ones, at the bottom of the scale, benevolent. Kindness is their dominant quality. Kindness, that's it. Remember, the good spirits, one of the main characteristics is desire to do good. So benevolent. Kindness is their dominant quality. They want to be kind. They want to be fair and nice to everyone. Next one up, scholars. They are distinguished by the extent of their knowledge. So they are really, they are not only kind because they already passed the benevolent, right? But they have this broad knowledge and they do really have the knowledge, not different from those that we saw the suitor learned, that they think they know a lot, but they don't. Scholars, they do know a lot, for good, for sure, okay? Next one up, wise spirit, characterized by moral qualities of the highest degree. You see the moral level is going up here. So morality is the big thing here. And the next one up, superior, also called high order spirits sometimes, they combine everything else, science, wisdom, and goodness all in one. So benevolence and nobility it frames exactly what they do all the time. With their knowledge, their wisdom, their goodness, they will be benevolent and they carry this incredible nobility with them. So those are the good spirits. Let me get you one phrase that is in the Spirit's book about the second order, good spirits. In popular belief, this order includes the spirits called good spirits, guardian spirits, and spirits of benevolence, because these are names used out there. In times of ignorance and superstition, they were regarded as beneficent deities. Okay, but times are different now. We understand more, we know more. So we know exactly what these good spirits are. They have by far surpassed the imperfect spirits. They are on their way to perfection like everybody else, except that they are much, much ahead of us. By the way, imperfect spirits, these red guys that you see on the bottom of the scales, they all spirits need a corresponding place to live, to incarnate, discarnate, and develop their moral qualities. The imperfect spirits, one of the orbs that they can develop their abilities is the earth. So the earth houses imperfect spirits. Good spirits will pass through the same thing, but in different orbs, more advanced than we are. At times, a good spirit can incarnate here on earth to help us develop faster. So it happens here and there, but that's not our standards. Our standard planet is formed by imperfect spirits. And at the top of the scale are the pure spirits. There's only one, there's no subcategory, it's just one category. And here's Allan Kardec again, right? No influence from matter, absolute intellectual and moral superiority. That would be Jesus, for example. Here's something that comes from the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec about the first order spirits. They assist humans in their distress and inspire them to do good or to expiate the wrongs that keep them from supreme bliss. Sometimes these spirits are called angels and archangels. So now we have a word here, angel, and another one, archangels, which might have a slightly different meaning in other belief systems, but we are spiritists, we are studying spiritism, so we need to understand what the word angel is, what the word archangel is. Those are spirits that no longer have to be incarnated because they have reached a degree of advancement that they will only incarnate on earth and orbs like this for a particular mission. They do as a mission, not for necessity or something for their own. They do for the others. Just like Jesus, he didn't have to be here. But, out of bliss and goodness, he came to us to show us exactly how to proceed, how to live our lives, what to do, and how to improve our moral standards, and how to be happy as a consequence of all of that. So when you go to the Spirit's book, for each one of these subcategories, all 10 here, there's some very decent fair amount of information that the spirits bring to us through the mediums and Allan Kardec. And I really think we should all read, attain, or I would say concentrate attention on this. We usually don't. We usually read and, oh yeah, this is better than that. Oh yeah, this category is better than that one. And we don't really stop and read this as we should, not just to read, but as a study. For each one of these subcategories, study what they are. And of course, some of these things will make sense, will resonate with us, and some others will not. For example, no influence from matter, absolute intellectual and moral superiority is not going to resonate with any of us because that's not who we are. But at least the scale here, the classification gives us an opportunity to kind of more or less know where we are. Okay, if we are too far down, close to the less advanced spirits, if we are in the middle of the scale, or if we are upper as a good spirit. So it's a subject that we should spend time. Definitely, we all should spend time here. And this is on the Spirit's book. It starts on question 100, I believe, and it goes through 130. So if you have a chance, or actually, I invite you to do that, okay? All right, so as I said before, we are getting to the end of our evolution series. So for next week, which is our last program about it, we're going to bring I would say this huge, gigantic overview of these 25 weeks, everything that we discussed, everything that we said. If you have any questions or comments, we really encourage you to do this. You can always go to kardecradio.com and put your questions and comments in there. We will address everything. Okay, every question that comes in, we address in a form of an explanation here, or simply addressing directly as a question and answer kind of thing. And for next week, September 22nd, we're going to do this. And we are also going to announce next week what is going to be our next topic. So evolutions started 25 weeks ago, 24 weeks ago. We end next week, and then we are going to announce what is going to be the next set of meetings about. And those will start on September 29th. Okay. So I wanted to thank you for being here with us once again. And please comments and questions, kardakradio.com. We're always here. We're all learning. Okay, so any input, comments, suggestions, all of it is always welcome. And you all be well, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much.